Welcome to the Rich X podcast. I am so excited to be back. And today we're talking about millennial nonfiction when it comes to movies, music, and books. We just talked about TVs in the previous episode. So I hope you enjoyed the previous recommendations. And these are some fresh new recommendations. I have read all of these books. Again, I listened to them. I really listen to audiobook on nonfiction because it's just kind of like a fun thing to just escape from. I can listen to the car, just like more engaging. I find the reading feels like a little more tedious and might be harder to just get into it. Also, a lot of times these books are narrated by the author, so you get a little bit of feeling and get a little bit of taste of what's going on. But so we have 5 recommendations, and these are all books that I read recently as this past year. So these are fresh in my mind. So let's start with the first one, which is Your Favorite Scary Movie by Ashley Collins. This is about Scream. This is all the history about Scream. So you get to hear from Kevin Williamson. You get to hear from Wes Craven. Well, Wes Craven before he passed away. Through interviews and everything. It's narrated by Ghostface, and Ghostface makes an appearance at every chapter had. It is just like a fun thing. You get to hear all about the franchise. How did it get started? How did it evolve? How did the revival happen? Like what happened after Miramax ended, after the Me Too movement? Why Nev Campbell did not show up in Scream Movie 6? What happened to the exodus of the previous characters from I think Scream 6 to now Scream 7? And how this movie just evolved. I was an OG watcher. I watched Scream in the movie theater. Remember in Laguna Beach, which no longer exists in Puerto Rico. And so I actually was invested in this. I haven't watched the later movies, but this was like a really great history about it. So I'm excited to just have a movie marathon of all the Scream movies. Okay. Speaking of Scream movies and movies of the 90s, we got to talk about best movie year ever by Rafferty. This is all about the movies that came out in 1999. Okay. I'm going to set the stage. I was actually a senior in high school. I had a movie theater, as I mentioned, Laguna Beach, which is like 10 minutes away. I grew up in Isla Verde, which is, if you go to Puerto Rico, Isla Verde is right next to the airport. It's a tourist town that happens there. That's where I grew up with. I loved it. It was a great place to grow up with. Yes, there were tourists, and tourists were not annoying at the time. They're now annoying. They now have taken over that space, and they have like a bunch of Airbnbs. But the movie theater in Laguna Beach was like run down movie theater, but it was like, it had like 5 seats, like barely making meets. But we would go there every Friday because it was just there. In the same time, new movie theaters were coming out. Las Americas, which is a major mall, and the San Patricio in Guaynabo City, it was another mall. And that was actually just got remodeled. So there was a Chili's, so we would just go to Chili's all the time. Like that's that's a really OG experience. We would go to Chili's and then we would see a movie and then stuff. So we would just go to the movies. That's all you did. Other than partying in Old St. Juan and maybe going to club, like it was pretty much like chill. So 1999 was the year that we had election, we got the Virgin Suicides, what else we got? We got a bunch of movies. On The Mummy, we got like Office Space. This is a book that goes every single major movie that came out. It was a good year. And you were like, yes, I watched this movie. Oh, yes, I watched this. Wait, this came out. The Matrix. This all came out in the same freaking year. It was a great year. And Ryan actually really gives you insight of like what was happening, how these movies grew. Some movies like Office Space grew because of DVDs and like VHS players and stuff like that. So it's a really great book. As someone who loves movies, I think this is it's a book companion that you should definitely have. And then it also talks about like why our movies are not doing the same thing, like why they're not looking like that. I personally haven't been to a movie in years. I think the last movie I saw was Conclave with my parents in Puerto Rico. I stopped watching. I used to go into the movies by myself in 7 years, or even longer. Actually, no, it's longer. It's almost 10 years. Because back in the 2000s, I would when I went to college, I would just go Sunday morning and just go to see early matinee by myself. And that was my outing. I just found it pleasant. And I haven't even treated myself to that. So maybe that's something to look forward. But I found that the quality of the movies are not as good. There's not a lot of rom-coms. There's not a lot of things that I'm like, okay, I really want to see this. I want to spend time. I want to spend money on it. But maybe that's something I'll revisit. Maybe I'll try it. I'll be going to Puerto Rico in December, so maybe I'll probably go to the movies with my parents. So we'll see. But yes, and that's best movie year ever by Rafferty. Okay, Speaking of movies that from the aughts that are the iconic, we got to talk about So Fetch, the making of Mean Girls by Jennifer Keishin and Armstrong. This is not like, it's not as good as an oral history. It just gives you an insight of the Mean Girls movie and how it came about. It does talk about the musical. It does talk about like the later movie that came out, the actual musical. I haven't watched that. I am still partial to the original Mean Girls. I think it's just like a place of time. Of like, so yes, it was good. Some Fetch by making of Mean Girls. I love Mean Girls better, so maybe I just need to watch Mean Girls. All right, we're gonna talk about music, and I'm gonna talk about pop stars. The music scene started for the aughts and started in 1998 when Britney Spears and Sing Bad Few Boys came about. This is when we had TRL. TRL started in 1998, and it just created the music of millennial music. So, and it ended at around 2012. I think that's really comes down to it. So Hit Girls by Nora Princiotti, she actually does have a podcast. I didn't know, but somebody told me. But I really love this one. It's about all the pop girls, pop music girls of the aughts. And so we got Britney, we got actually Taylor Swift, we got Katy Perry, we got Rihanna, we got all the people, all the music that came about. It is fun. It is joyful. It will make your playlist go back to that era of the aughts and that era of like those hits that just keep on hitting and that we now keep listening to them because they're comfort. So yeah, that's Hit Girls by Nora Princiotti. So that's the next one. And final book to talk about is Paperback Crush by Gabrielle. This is about teen literature in the 90s. So think about it. Babysitter's Club, Sweet Valley High, Vampire Diaries, R.L. Stein, Fear Street. I talked about Allure McDaniel's, Cancer Bug, all the books that we read in the 90s. When 90s like literature is young adult was very in its weird place. A lot of young adult was created by ghostwriters and outlines and series. A lot of the books like the Gossip Girl and the stuff where Gossip Girl was like a reminder of what it was in the 90s. You need Sweet Valley High to have this other stuff. So yeah, so that's pretty much what's going on. So Sweet Valley High and everything. So that's Paperback Crush by Gabrielle. I hope you get a taste of the millennial movie, music, and books. So if you enjoyed this podcast, please consider. And that's it for these book recommendations. If you're looking for more recommendations, please leave in your comments what some of the nonfiction books you have read that you enjoy and have a conversation in the comments to see maybe some other people can actually recommend you some other books. So thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.